G'day, g'day. G'day, g'day everyone, how you doing? Welcome to the live show, and I apologize if things are a little bit messy around here, but we are up and running. I am super excited to chat with you all about what we've got here. But yeah, let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. I'm running OBS for this stream. I'm just done something quick just to throw something together. But let me know in the chat if you are here. Good to see everyone coming in from around the world. It's always super exciting to see you all. But yeah, look, this has been a very interesting announcement. I mean, as we all know, it's super hard to know what they're actually going to announce and release, but it's always exciting to hear these new things. Now, we have the new television studio HD8 and HD8 ISO, as well as some new cameras and Atem microphone converter. That's a very interesting one there. But yeah, let's have a chat about it. So in the chat, jump in there. Let me know if there's any thoughts you have, any things you're excited for, you're not excited for. Do you think this is a good update? Do you think this is a bad one? Like, again, I'd love to get with you in terms of, yeah, love to chat about this. So let's bring up our website. So this has just been adjusted now. So we've got the new studio converters there, a big spot for the microphone converter, which is quite funny. And I think if we scroll up as well, we should also see the new cameras. So the 4K Pro G2 and the 6K Pro. So apologies to those who have bought a 4K Pro. That's going to be annoying to not have the RTMP built in anymore. But gosh, I've got a few thoughts. This is okay. So initially, I'm pretty excited to see where this is going. Now, when the Broadcast G2 came out, there was they were talking about like the RTMP built in and how we're going to have, you know, it's kind of a thought of where this could be going. We've got the being able to stream to a streaming bridge or now to a switcher. It's actually kind of cool. You can almost have an IP-based workflow now, especially since you can go from the 6K or the Pro and the 4K Pro G2 straight to the switcher. You don't even have to run SDI anymore. Now there will be a bit of latency there, I'm sure, but it's really, really cool. So the Atem is very cool, but has some nice functions, but no 4K. Look, I agree. They did call it the HD8, so there could be a UHD8 or a 4K8 coming out. Who knows? This is very, very interesting. Let's say hello to a few of our friends from around the world. MT, always good to have you around. Eric, Rob, Amory, I'm so sorry if I got that wrong. Martin, Aaron, good to see you in the chat. I'm testing out the new H2R map coming soon in the beta. So it was good to see that it was working and got it in the what's it called, in satellite view, which is thanks John for throwing that in there. So, but yeah, really good to have you all here. And g'day from Germany. Good to see as well. Not working for me. What's not working for you? Sorry, that's not working. But yeah, okay. So where do we start? I think we start with the Atem Television Studio HD8. Now, to be honest, I think this has kind of nailed it when it comes to a small switcher, small form factor, basically replacing the old television studio panel. Now, we've got the Constellations, we've got those switches, which are the rack mount. If you're looking for a professional solution in a rack, perfect, love it. I've got a Constellation 8K, I love the thing, it's amazing. But we were missing having the one switcher with everything built into it. And I feel like they've kind of nailed it with this thing. It's really, really cool. Yes, it is just HD, but for the price point and the fact that you get a panel built in, I just bought the 2ME advanced panel and that hurt price-wise. And I bought that like a week ago. So when I saw that there was announcements from Atem, I'm like, please don't bring a new panel out because that would not have been fun. But here we are. We have the new television studio. So let's have a little look at what they've done here. Look, I think they've done really well. So let's have a look at the specs of this from a top level kind of point of view. So we've got 8 SDI inputs, 12 SDI outputs. You've got 2 auxiliaries, 1 program out. You've got webcam output for 720 or 1080 program. Does the Atem Mini do 720 or does it just do 1080? That's an interesting one there. You've got audio inputs. You've got separate audio monitoring, which is actually quite nice. I'm really hoping that Blackmagic will eventually bring out a basically auxiliary audio mix. And they keep talking about the mixer and they love their mixer. But I'm like, you need more channels. You need more outputs. So 4 channels are embedded in all SDI inputs. I'm interested to see if that actually is mixable into the switcher as well. He didn't mention what goes out of the MADI. So there's a MADI out. So I'm guessing it's 32 channels worth getting it from the inputs. So you can actually plug it into a real real mixer. Let's be honest. The built-in one is not exactly the best there. Just looking through the chat while we're chatting. Yes, the new HDR app with the graphics. It is. I mean, hey, it's working so far. So enjoying that. The new Atem update does not have Constellation firmware. Yeah, look, they quite often will do a firmware update for a single device and call the new number. So if you have an older device or a different device, it won't necessarily have an update for it. But yes, I'm really hoping for a new Constellation update. I know that the Constellation HD users out there have been having a lot of fun with too much data going out the network or something. So we'll see what happens there. Seems really cool, but only 2 auxes. Look, it's a very good point, especially since the Extreme SDI ISO, whichever way you say that, has 4 now. So it's a bit of a loss there. I mean, it is still a television studio. The television studio has always been a 1ME, very little outputs switcher. But you do have a dedicated multi-view. Now, what I did want to check is the HDMI out? Doesn't say. Because one thing I do really love in the Constellation is a 4K multi-view. Now, I know it's a bit like bougie and kind of like, oh, wow, that's a... But having a 4K multi-view, being able to see preview programming in full HD, it's a really nice thing. But it looks like it's not the case. So we got, yeah, all 3G on the SDI rates as well. Working now, stuck on my slide. Sorry, I'm watching the YouTube here and everything seems okay. So maybe need to refresh or something. Sorry about that. A diagram of the back. Yeah, let's have a look at the back. That's a good point. So yeah, let's talk through these inputs. Dual power, always love that. Reference in and out. That's a very good point. It has got reference in and out, and also timecode in and out. Now, any Constellation users out there who have been frustrated that there is no timecode in, why? It's a professional switcher. Why is there no input? Because now everything has to be clocked off the Constellation. I don't know. But we now have reference in and out, timecode in and out, and MADI in and out. Finally, thank you. They've finally nailed that. USB with the lockable connector. I'm all for that. That looks great. 4-port Ethernet switch. Loving that. Great. Perfect. And also the built-in, the built-in switch in there. The built-in recorders. I'm not going to lie. I feel like they've nailed a lot of things on the head here. Like, I've really got it right. External talkback going into proper comms. Beautiful. SDI outputs for your Blackmagic cameras. Beautiful. Love it. Ins and outs. Now, I know there'll be people out there going, I miss the HDMI. I want a HDMI version. I want a half and half. Look, I get it. It's an interesting one. I kind of get it going to, like what he said about going to one format. Does make sense. But we've also got, 2 auxes, dedicated program out, and a SDI multi-view out. Now, I was kind of setting up for the stream, so I was half listening to what he was saying. So the aux outs, that button on the top of the switch, was that aux 1? Is that kind of similar to the Atem Mini in terms of being able to adjust your screen there? Or was that the multi-view out that we're looking at for that button? Let me know in the chat if you caught that as well. So analog audio out. So we got the control out and the studio out. Do like the control out because believe that it like includes comms and things like that. So that's nice for a director just to be able to, you know, have speakers on the table and be able to have your own mix of what you're listening to in that, and the dim button and things like that. Super cool. Stereo audio in, again, a nice thing just for throwing an iPod in. Remember headphone jacks, those things? Yeah, it's been a while. Analog audio in and talkback connection. Thank you for getting rid of those stupid airplane things, jacks. That was just a bit dumb. With the Atem SDI having routable outputs, having all 8 camera outputs being at the same is sad. Yes, look. It is. I understand they're trying to keep the cost down, but yeah, look, it is sad. Let's be honest. Yeah, look, that's. Oh, and not to mention, I think we're finally moving towards right to repair. I saw Petra in the Discord talking about that. It's a really good move because I'm a Blackmagic dealer and I talk with the engineers down there who do the repairs and stuff. And well, they said to me this way: their soldering iron is always hot, and it just makes sense to have these boards replaceable. And I don't know what the cost will be for those. I'll eventually find out. I'm in Australia, so it's still 6:30 a.m. So the distributor's not awake yet, but we'll hopefully get some pricing on what those boards will cost. But being able to swap those cards out, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Interested to see how hard that will be as well, like how well it's been built in terms of pulling it apart. But so we have our direct streaming RTMP. Now look, let me go big for this. Blackmagic, if you're watching this, we need SRT, please. RTMP is good, but it's really not great, especially over distance, especially over a bad connection. So I've even been doing an RTMP stream from Byron, which is like a 1 hour flight from myself to my studio. He's on a 250 by 100 connection. I'm on a gigabit pipe, and we're still getting dropouts at that distance. So we really need SRT or something more reliable for distance, especially if you're plugging in a phone or something with a really bad connection. So please, SRT. Anyone in the chat, let me know if that's what you're thinking as well. Let's keep looking through this. So we have, okay, so he didn't mention much about the media pool, but we've got 2 media players, it seems like, and we have 200 frames worth of video. Now we didn't get to see the actual display there, whether you have how many PNG sequence holes there are. I'd assume there's maybe 1, because it's only got 200 frames, and then you have 20 media pool capacity. He didn't say whether it was the what's it called? When you power down the switcher, if you will still keep your media player. I hope that's the case, because it seems like they're using RAM on the bigger switches, which is a bit annoying when you have to repower and then you have to load in all your stings and stuff. That can take like 10 minutes, depending on how many frames you got loaded in there. So jumping back in the chat. So timecode for the win. Absolutely agree. Why is this not in the constellation? Especially the 8K. Like it's, yeah. 2 terabytes for recording. Yeah, so he announced that in the initial sale, they'll actually be including the 2 terabyte built in, which is, I mean, that's not cheap. Like 2 terabytes worth of M.2, which I'm assuming it is. Now let's have a look. Is that M.2 that we're looking at? It doesn't actually say. We might have to look into the manual and see what we've got there. Yeah, interesting. I don't see it there. If anyone saw it, let me know. But yeah, so having that built-in recording, super awesome. BMD, listen to Ryan SRT. Gosh, there's a few things I wish I would listen on. That new Matty box is super cool. Look, I'm trying to picture how we could use that, but it is a good point because in my rack, for example, I've got my switcher and I've got a X32 with Matty built in. Actually, I don't really need, because I use Matty 3. But anyway, being able to have a digital connection and an SDI running to someone, or even say you run an SDI or a BNC to an audio mixer and say, hey, plug in your lines in here, and then I've got my audio to the desk. It's cool. I can get behind that. So aux XY routing buttons, 2 buttons for selecting what aux to control. Oh, okay, cool. So you got 2 buttons to show which aux there is, and the aux can be multi-view. I don't know why this is double clicking sometimes. That's nice. I don't know if they've done that before, apart from on the Atem mini series. How many converters can you daisy chain? That is a good question. I was looking at that because you got the USB and the Ethernet in. So that would be cool being able to daisy chain a few things, because if you can assign which MADI channel is being used and say, all right, this one uses 1 to 4, this one uses 5 to 8. I would have loved to see an AES input. It didn't say whether that can do AES. So we got, he definitely said line, yeah, just mic and line, no AES. I feel like that's a bit of a loss there, because AES in would have been really nice, because then you could have done 8 channels worth. SRT, absolutely, would have been good. Low latency and dropout resistance not compatible. Yeah. New tech would like people to believe that it is. Yeah. Yeah, look. I still need a bit of pushing to get into the NDI bandwagon. Persistent media pool seems to be a bit hit and miss. Yeah, I agree. Oh, sorry, Aaron. He did say M.2. Thank you for clarifying that. Good. But yeah, having a 2 terabyte, that's like a couple $100 being thrown in there. So that's a really nice touch. Grant didn't say about anything about the media pool. Yep. I'm guessing you have to ask. Yeah, well, it's interesting because all the Atem minis have the media pool built in. So, well, sorry, the persistent media pool. So we'll be interested to see if that happens. And if anyone's scouring through the manual and stuff, let me know. I'd be curious to see if there's anything there. Now, we'll have a look at all their images, which are always fun to see how far they go with them. But, okay, we finally have, on a television studio, we have SuperSource. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very happy with that. We have 4 upstream keys. How many DVEs do they have as well? Hang on. It seems like 1 DVE. So you got 5 movable boxes, which is cool. And what else have we got? So yeah, 4 upstream keys, 2 downstream keys, and everything on buttons. Love that. And this new, let's have a look at this. So let's go back to EL computer. So yeah, everything here looks exactly the same as the Atem advanced panel. Love it. Having the physical T-bar. I know some people like don't want to use it, but if you're actually doing a live switch and cutting, T-bar, all about it. Now I just got an email from my distributor, so I'll be interested to see if there's anything in there that is not. Just having a quick look through. Nothing out of the ordinary. Okay. Yeah, so I got 4 upstream keys and this new audio panel section here. That's a very interesting addition there, especially things like CCU and stuff like that. I would love to see it as an advanced panel. That would be awesome. But to be honest, I kind of like it. I think they've done really nicely. Okay, so looking here, you've got aux 1 and 2, multi-view, preview. Curious why that's still 2 things there. And the grab still and switch button. Also curious what that does too. Yeah, let me know if you've got any thoughts on what those could be. Oh, and the fact that we have an ISO model as well. I'm sure people are going to be so excited about that, I'm sure. I know I will. Because to be honest, I have been looking for a switcher that, basically this. Because people who just want a small setup, but want more than an Atem mini, basically. They want more than an Atem mini. They want physical buttons. They want easy control, SDI. I think this is, look, I'm not gonna lie, I think they've actually done it right. Now, I don't say that often about these guys, but I think they've done pretty well. I wouldn't be surprised if a 4K model does appear. That would be really nice, but I think they've done pretty well. I know of a few venues that I'm quoting up at the moment that could have these involved. Looks like the multi-view can be assignable, which is nice as well. You got 2 media players, and the built-in SSD. Now, having a cloud store built in, I really like that idea. The fact that you can just drop it on the table, hit record. It doesn't look like you can record to 2 places at once, but the fact that you can actually edit off it, that's really, really interesting. We got, yeah, so live streaming 4.5G built in, failover to things. So yeah, look, there's not a lot of new things. There's a lot of Atem Mini built in. Now, why they still use the sync bin? Give me an option to go between sync bin and a real multicam. I don't have a speed editor, and the fact that I can't just go across and just right click and just change cameras or put it into a thing and just click on the camera to cut. I want to be able to recut this. I don't know why this is so difficult. Like, the edit page, I know there's a big push for it, but sorry, the cut page, but I'm an old school editor. I want to use the edit page. It just makes sense for me. I'm sorry, I haven't been showing the computer there. Yep, USB webcam, all things we love to see. So yeah, this is quite interesting because we had the streaming bridge, which did okay, but the fact now that you can do cameras on the field with talkback going back, with tally going back. Now there is latency on the on the RTMP feed, which is about 3/4 of a second, I think, from memory. But the tallies are instant. CCU is instant, and the talkback. So you can throw someone out in the field and say, talk to them on comms. Like, it's just an all-in-one solution. It's actually really cool. I would definitely suggest a bonded system of some sort. Oh, one thing I didn't know. So we have our Ethernet on the camera. Now, does the Ethernet work as an internet source on this camera? Now, obviously, he was using it for Ethernet to going back to the converter on the table. But I'd be curious to see if anyone can find that if the Ethernet works for internet in, because USB-C, you need a little dongle, you need something, it's just a bit clunky. But if we have an Ethernet cable plugged in, I don't think we've figured out a way of powering it via that Ethernet. You can put like an injector, for example, but that would be really, really cool. I just saw MT jump in the chat with Mr. Dedicated macro buttons. I agree. That would be really, like, I mean, there's plenty of space there. So that would be cool. Although, do they have a macro button on the panel? Okay, they do. So MT, they do have the macro button just like on the advanced panel. So if you press that, your first 8 or 10 macros will appear there. And I guess if you shift it, it'll also go to the next 16. So it's not a dedicated macro per se, but you can just leave that on and then just jump between all the macros. So that is good. But yes, I'd be very interested to see if the Ethernet can be used there. The remote input could be used. Another Atem streaming that could input Zoom, Teams, etc. remote guests. Yes. Now, he didn't say if it could only come from Blackmagic stuff. So the streaming bridge only comes from Blackmagic devices, which is a real pain. It'd be lovely to have that as a streaming. But could it get a stream from OBS or from any other encoder? Have they finally turned off that really annoying button of only use Blackmagic products? Because if that's the case, that's really cool. Because if we can have someone say an OBS sending a stream, I could get behind that. I could really get behind that. Okay, so looking at this board here, I mean, it looks decent in terms of repairability, so that's quite nice. Now, yeah, let's have a look at this audio. So we've got decent preamps as from what I can see. Okay. And you can daisy chain inputs, daisy chain users to add more inputs. So there we go. We've answered that question in terms of if you can daisy chain them for more. Actually quite like that. I mean, you do have a point of failure in there every time you have a thing. If you lose one, you lose all of them. Grant did say 8 streaming bridges. Yes, he did, but he was also kind of mentioning going, you can get sources from anywhere. So I am curious. Just scrolling up about, I prefer Dante over Maddie. Whoop. I keep losing the thing. Audio display seems like it'd be hard to read if someone panel is mounted flat. Yeah. Yes and no, because I've got the 2ME advanced panel, which is the same flat thing. You can easily see the far buttons from a normal seated position. So I see what you mean, but you will have to reach over a bit. But the size wise, it looks like a decent size for that to be able to look over it pretty easily. Sorry, this is how to read it flat. Prefer Dante over Maddie. Yeah, look, this has been the age-old argument for a while of like, why is there no Dante? I get it. I'd love to have both on there for sure, but Maddie just works. I've been in many places where Dante has failed because the network's not set up right. There's a lot of variables that need to be set up right, just like NDI. NDI on a perfect network is great, but if it's not, it's horrible. It's a really bad time. So I get why it's not there, and you can get some adapters that will kind of bridge the gap, but there's also not many consoles that will have both that are cheap. So I would love for example, like an X32 with 2 card slots in there, so I can have Maddie and Dante. That would be nice. I have looked into having a second console and then pairing them together to add Dante, but anyway, that's a side note there. If they do a 4K option, then this will be a recommendation for me. Yeah, that's a very fair point. The fact that we only have what's the word? That it's only HD in today's day and age, it's a good point. Yeah, look, I mean, NAB is coming up. We could very well see a 4K pop up. I've got a few thoughts about what could be appearing there. I mean, I had a few thoughts about what could be appearing today, but this seems like your small television studio style setup here. I know I can data chain more, but how many more? Well, I guess up to 64 in theory, because I think Maddie can do 64 channels. So yeah, in theory that, and I guess that would also work with the Constellation 4ME as well. It should work, and Grant said it can also use on the internal network. Yeah. I would be very interested to see a network where, you have a bunch of cameras all running IP, but so they just released a new camera. They released a G2 version of the cameras here, but they have not done Ethicon. Yeah, okay. I got really angry about this when they released this the first time, because they just got this camera with a bare Ethernet exposed on the side, which, I mean, you just have to like tape it to your tripod or something, because if you rip that connector out, you're in a world of pain. So why have they not got Ethicon yet? I really wish they did. That'd be really nice. Any Dante to Maddie converters? There is a one from RME, I believe. Yeah, and I think that's kind of a built-in one. It also has USB out. It's actually got some really cool stuff. Every year they do an update before NAB announcement. That always seems so lackluster. Yeah. So this is, it seems like this is kind of like the small one before big show and all the big announcements. So, but yeah, look, I'm not mad about this in the small range. I think this is great. Now, this is what I've been waiting for. when the studio camera came out with the MFT, now I know there's a lot of people out there that love their MFT, and look, I'm using a GH3 with an MFT lens. It's cool, but in a studio environment, when you got 3 lenses options for zoom focus demands, and all of them suck, quite frankly, I wasn't so excited. The fact now that we can use EF lenses with the lens he was showing was a 18 to 80, I believe it was. That's a decent lens. I wish it was faster, but we can also throw in cine lenses. So we've got the 17 to 120, or 15 to 120, or the 25 to 50, 50 to 100, 1000. Those are the lenses that I want to be using. So I'm really excited about that. And of course, you got the zoom focus demands. So I would definitely be recommending this camera for those small studio environments. Interesting that there's no 6K non-pro model. I get it. But for those who just want to have HDMI and... now, one question I was seeing people ask was, is the SDI 4K? Let's have a look. Yes, 12G. There we go. You heard it here first. We have 4K outputs. There's also this HDMI 2.0 output. So in theory, that's 4K as well. And in theory, we've also got the teleprompter return feed output as well. So all those are really exciting. But yeah, 4K up to 60. Now it looks like they basically just got the 4K Pro, sorry, the Pocket 6K Pro sensor and just dropped it into here. Great. Like, it's not the best sensor in the world, but you know, they've done a decent job there. Okay, we'll do interlace output in there as well. Interesting. And yeah, we've got the outputs there. So has anyone seen whether that Ethernet will do... Okay. RTMP over Ethernet or a shared mobile connection. So hopefully that means that you can use the built-in Ethernet port. Now, obviously you'll lose the studio connection, but if you're on the field, this is what you want. So if you've got a PEP-Link, for example, and you want to plug that into the camera, perfect. Love that. You've got all your Blackmagic RAW recordings, zoom focus, demand control. Now, he plugged the USB into the focus handle. Now, when I did the Ursa Broadcast G2 review, I don't recall that you could do that. I may be wrong, but I'd be very curious to know if you could actually record over that USB loop through on the handle. I don't know if I would trust it going through all these different things, but that is actually a really nice thing. Let's jump back in the chat. It's a good update. I would like HDMI SDI combination because the original user for our projector system. Now, are you talking that in terms of outputs or inputs or both? Yeah, I do get it, but being able to run SDI to a projector, I mean, you don't have to worry about the... Ultimately, we are going to be buying converters. I own like so many microconverters. It's a bit dumb. EF lenses full frame. That depends on the lens. So typically in EF lenses, you've got EF and EFS. So EF is full frame and EFS is Super 35, typically. So those cine lenses, I think, are all Super 35, apart from the 15 to 120, which is now full frame, which is really, really cool. So you need crop factor for focal lengths. Yeah, look, when it comes to crop factors and stuff, it's difficult because ultimately most people will have the numbers that they're used to. And they kind of go, hey, I know what a 50 mil looks like on the sensors that I'm used to. So you could just have to do your own internal math, basically. 6K studio camera is a great option, great recommendation because it is cheaper than the full broadcast camera. Yeah, look. Oops, I'm cropping that chat there. Yeah, I agree. It's a... Yeah, I think for these small studio environments, especially like something that's built in, like a podcast studio or something, I think it does great. Now, I know people will be screaming going, why have we not got this camera but without the screen? Yes, There's no reason, from what I can see. So right now we've got this block here. Why don't they just get a Dremel and cut it right there and call it a block camera? Get rid of the screen. Aaron, I know you'll want that for your little for like the block camera thing. But yeah, if I was to put this in my studio, for example, I don't need the screen. I'm never going to use it. So having a block camera style thing like we had on the Micro Studio, really want to see that. And hopefully save a couple of dollars in terms of like the high bright screen and all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, cut right across there and we're looking good. Huh. Is this the first time we've seen a 3/8 mounting point on a Blackmagic camera? Because I always use the 1/4 inch and it makes no sense whatsoever because it's a big camera. Like, why are we using tiny little screws? And you can always make the bigger ones smaller. You can't make the small ones bigger. It's a real pain because any tripod I get, I have to throw away the 3/8 tripod screw. Well, not throw it away, but it's just useless to me. USB-C can't do host mode and device mode at the same time, even with hubs. It's the same limitations on the minis. Yeah, okay. Better to use SDI than SDI to HDMI converters for length issues. Yeah, I'm all for SDI. I've got a full SDI workflow, although we still need HDMI for some things. It's a pain, but it's real. Having inputs that are both HDMI and SDI is nice for projector systems and sending out via SDI. Having to buy converters now just causes more points of failure. Yep, look, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, ultimately, there is no system that's going to make everyone happy. Everyone's going to want different things. But the converters are now affordable, like USB powered, all that kind of stuff. I think they made the right call. I'd be very curious to see if there's a Television Studio HDMI edition, but then again, that's the Atem Mini. Let's be honest. What have we got? But you have 2 USB ports. Yes, no, it's true. But he also had his phone plugged into one of them, and so you can fill up those 2 USB ports very quickly. I would have done studio camera for a studio if it wasn't for the MFT. So I'm guessing you're talking about the 4K original one. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have recommended the 4K to anyone because it is MFT. And for a small studio, it just doesn't make a lot of sense because you have to reach around and you've got these non-parfocal lenses and stuff. Yeah. Yes, he did daisy chain the handles and use one of the USB-Cs on the other end used for the phone. Well, he used it for the flash drive to be able to load in the XML, but I'm curious to see if it can also work with the what's it called? XML, also used like for recording. Now, I don't know if it's like USB 3 all the way through. It may not be enough speed, but we'll see. The HDMI connector is what we have to live with, but hate. Completely agree. HDMI connectors to me are a consumable item. They are not a, yeah. I'm buying HDMI cables every month. I hate it, but unfortunately it is the world we live in today. EF lens in the demo is $5,000 per focal one. Yeah, look, it's not cheap. And it's also f4 or T4.4. Why they didn't just throw a 70-200 2.8 in there? It's the same size. I don't understand. It doesn't have an IS. So I really wish there was a 2.8 version of that lens because f4, this is a bit slow for my liking. And I just wish I could get SDI cable for the price of HDMI cable. Is it really that much more So I make all my SDI cables. So each connector I'm looking at around, I'm thinking US price, probably $3 to $4. And then in terms of cable per meter, $1 to $2 depending on the cables. So yeah, I guess, yeah. It'll probably be more expensive than a cheap HDMI, but it's at the same time, it's also customizable length. There's a whole bunch of things. T4 is fine for TV studios. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm going for a big sensor look. I mean, I just did a show last night, which was we had eight 4.6K cameras, all at 2.8. All look really nice in terms of shallow depth of field. We had a LED wall behind as well, so trying to get that out of focus. Story of my life. I hate it, but everyone loves their LED walls. So, yeah. What else have we got? So, just trying to see if there's any more details about this. Scrolling down. Now, any more thoughts? Any more questions in the chat? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So yeah, mic and line on this camera converter. Now, something I noticed differently is that they've actually got this now darker color on a micro converter because I've always had the same gray. So are we going to see more converters with this dark color? That'd be nice. I'm also noticing that they're adding the locking connector on the USB-C. So I'd be really interested to see if the what do you call it? Those cable, they can get more of those types of cables. Now, for some reason on the Ursa broadcast, they had the locking on the diagonal, which didn't make sense to anything. But yeah. So what you're just saying is I get SDI crimping tools. Well, it all depends on how much you're going to do. I've terminated thousands and thousands of connectors, so it makes sense for me. But they are not cheap. Like the tools you could spend a couple $100 very easily on. Get yourself some good tools. Don't skimp out on those. Especially the stripper tool. You don't want to mess with that. But if you're doing cable runs all the time, get yourself a couple of spools of cable. I use 1505A a lot of the time, or 1855A, because that gets you, 50 meters at 4K 60, or 4K 30. Yeah, so 1394F. I mean, the flexible always is twice the price of a the non-flexible, which is annoying, but I kind of get it. So depending on, like, I've got some of the 1505F cable, but to be honest, I just use the A cable. It's half the price and it's a little bit less flexible, but hey, I love to, just keep it cheaper. What I don't get is how the Atem 1ME panel still costs $3,000. I get it because there's a lot more buttons, because each button costs money. Like they were talking about that with the 2ME broadcast panel back in the day. That was $18,000 or something crazy. And they were saying it's just those buttons cost, $10 each or whatever it was. And then when you have 100 of them, it adds up very quickly. So, but yeah, I am very impressed how they got it to this price. Like what he was saying is that it's, $15,000 worth of stuff built in. There's a lot of money for what you're getting out of there. The gray appears to be old story. Everything now is the black tone. Which converters had the black tone now? Because I haven't actually seen this black before. I haven't seen this tone yet on a converter style thing. So I feel like this is the first one I've seen. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong there. But I think it's a nice change. Like the gray I was getting over. Not that I really care about the color, but yeah, got a MacBook Pro, space gray. I'm all about the darker colors. It can be any color as long as it's black. So who do you think this is for? Sorry, clarify that for me. Which part is this? Is the streaming to the Atem only available on just the release model? It seems like that's the case. Now, I remember Alex was saying when the Atem Mini first came out, or the Pro, or Extreme maybe, and they had gigabit there, and they were talking about potential future things for that. It'd be awesome, super, super, super awesome if they released a firmware update on those to be able to receive RTMP on those. I don't know if it's a hardware chip or if it's a firmware updatable chip, but that would be really, really cool if they did that to some of the Atem Minis. Probably be the Extremes, if anything. I hope the monitor out feature goes to other converters or even future converters. Sorry, I'm not quite sure what you mean there. buttons and cases are the expensive part. Yeah, look, it's an RGB button. It costs money. It's unfortunate, but it's there. The PCB is basically a souped up Atem Mini Extreme, SDI Extreme model. Yeah, true. Yep. Looks like you didn't find some shorter building cables. Like you can get 400-foot rolls. I buy them in 400-foot typically, not 1,000. But if you've got a lot of cable you need to run, then buy the 1,000. Sorry, you are correct. The Terranex stuff is all black. But I was talking about the micro converters or the mini converters, which has all been silver historically. Overall, they're going on the black tone, but this is the first converter of the black tone. Yeah. I'm all for the change. I'll be curious to see what else they bring out. Now, Blackmagic, if you're watching, you have the converters, which will go SDI to HDMI, which currently will do a down convert from 4K to HD. You have the tech. Please release a SDI to SDI, which will do 4K to HD. Because right now, you don't have any way of doing that. And right now, I'm going, if I want to down convert to HD, I have to go SDI to HDMI 12G into a HDMI to SDI 3G just to down convert this. So I'm like, you have the tech, please have a down converter because with like a little switch to say down convert to HD. Because not all my monitors or not everyone's monitors is 4K. I want to run 4K, but I need to down convert 4 things. So please that. Overall, they've gone to black tone. Yep, sorry, I had that. Mouse has only got 1,000 spools in stock. Interesting. Okay. Who do you think the switcher is for? House of Worship, small studios, portable setups? Yeah, look, that's a good question. So I would say, houses of worship, probably. It depends on how big their setup is. Small studios, which have 4 cameras, a couple of inputs, this is perfect. Things that you don't need multiple MEs for. So say you've got like a live screen that you want to be able to fade things on screen. I'd probably still look at a 2ME or a 4ME for those multiple MEs. But in a podcast studio, small studio that you want just a little bit more than an Atem Mini, you want a physical panel, definitely what I would suggest for that. We've also got, what were the other things that you were thinking? Portable setups. Yeah, look, it'd be interesting to see how this could be integrated into a rack. It doesn't look like it's a rack width, like a 19RU rack width, which is annoying because it would be nice if you could slot it on top of like a mixer case, for example. So casing this will be annoying and transporting this will be annoying, but when you're on location, you can just kind of plug a few things in. That is going to be quite nice. So yeah, but I would definitely be recommending this to small podcast studios, or even medium-sized studios that have a couple of cameras and want graphic overlays in. 4 cameras with graphics and videos. I think this is kind of a perfect price point there. And you want the physical panel as well, because obviously if you look at a Constellation 1 or 2ME plus the advanced panel, you're already double the price pretty quickly. And also all the recorders and stuff too. So yeah. And having the 2 terabyte built in, the cloud still built in, the fact that you can just be on set and go, cool, record, sync it to Dropbox automatically. That's a win for me. The streaming receivers are only on the ISO version. Yes, that's a very good point. The ISO version is the only one that has the streaming receiver. Now, price-wise, it was an extra 1,000, if I got that correctly. So it's 3,000 for the non-ISO and 4,000 for the ISO. So it's a decent jump, especially considering the Atem Extreme non-ISO and ISO was only a $500 jump. So it's a bit more expensive than I would have expected. But yeah, I'm glad it's there. I'm glad there is an ISO model there. And I know people are also shouting going, hey, why is there not the super source is also not recorded. So if you want to record the super source, it's either got to be on program or you do an aux loop through thing. Annoying, but it doesn't seem like they're going to record the super source. They added a monitor out on the microphone converter, so hopefully they include that for other models. So I'm curious, would you ever use that monitor out? Like they've been adding monitor out to the cloud store and a few things like that, but who's going to use that? It's a bit quirky to me. I'd be very curious to see how actually yeah. I expect that the stream reader is built in this one, but not in the Atems. I mean, they do also use, what is it, FPGA modules on these things, so potentially it's a firmware updatable thing, but I wouldn't hold my breath there. Kind of miss the rugged style converters with the rubber, so it didn't slide as much on the desk. Yeah, look, the battery converters that they had, while it was not the greatest with the actual battery built in, the rugged style was nice, because yes, rolling around on the table is annoying. Now, if NAB, if they don't release a multi-converter box, like a Terranex style thing, SDI, HDMI, multi-converter, they really need that. They also need, which I'm sure a lot of people will be screaming for, is the Decklink Duo 2 in a Terranex mini case with Thunderbolt 3. Because everyone, including myself, has the Sonnet boxes to be able to convert that, but we haven't got it in Thunderbolt. So it works, just put it into a Thunderbolt enclosure. So please, anyway. I've got many thoughts, but we'll see how we go. 3D print cases with rubber filament. Yeah. I should look into that actually. Got a 3D printer which has been collecting dust, so I might have to get that going again. The big question is Atem Television Studio HD 8 versus a Tuomi Constellation HD with the options you want. Ooh. All right. Is it time for what's the word? Comparison time. Let's have a look. So let us compare the 2ME Constellation HD versus the new Television Studio HD. Now, first things first is we do not have a physical panel. I need a wishlist video. Look, I probably should film one. You're not wrong. So, price-wise, $16.95 for the 2ME Constellation and $3,000 for that. Now, it's a bit less than double the price, but we had the panel. So the 1ME advanced panel is $3,000. So the panel itself, which has less functionality technically than this one anyway, is already more expensive than this panel. I would love to see this panel released as just a panel. I don't know how they could compete with this because they would have to drop their pricing there. But anyway, so pricing wise, it's double the price, but you include a panel. So you're still cheaper there. A lot less video output. So if you need outputs routable, a whole bunch of things like that, the Constellation is going to be your thing. If you don't care about outputs, if you just need, an on-set monitor, program out, a multi-view, I think this is the way to go here. Both of them are 3G. Both have USB out. Now, obviously, this one's got the recorder and the ISO built in. Actually, sorry, the ISO is an extra grand. So, depending if you need the ISO or not. You got MADI built in, Ethernet switch, reference in and out, timecode in and out, HDMI multi-view. That could be, for those just wanting to drop something on a desk. Whew. Yeah, look, I think if we're talking about comparison between these two, yeah, small studio without outputs, you don't care about outputs. Television studio, and if you want outputs and you want more MEs, go the Constellation HD. I feel like that is what we need. Now, I was kind of hoping for and expecting potentially a Constellation 4K. Now, if they do that as a Constellation 8K owner, I really hope that they add more to the 8K for the price premium that we paid for that. Because we've got the, what's the word? We've got the 8K. So, for example, on the 2ME broadcast panel back in the day, they firmware updated and added 2 more MEs. So if they say you've got the 8K and added another 4 MEs, for example, I wouldn't be mad. That would actually justify the crazy costs that we paid for that thing. But there's a chance that what they would do was do a 4K series in 6G, and the 8K is the 12G version. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I'd probably actually go for the 6G version because I never shoot 12G. I shoot 6G all the time, but not 12. Anyway, I'm talking about wishlist. So, but yeah, maybe. Wishlist video coming soon. They designed for table integration and specifically did not design for rack install. Yeah, look, the I really found it funny when the CCU panel was released. Grant went on this whole spiel about having to cut holes in desks, and he's like, "Oh no, you should never do that." And then very quickly, once they released the advanced panels, made it cuttable into a desk. So he kind of went backwards on that one. So that was quite amusing. But I'm not mad about it because having these cut into a desk looks beautiful. I do wish that the CCU panel had both options, so you could plonk it on a desk or put it up. Yeah, anyway. I think he got us slightly wrong on that one. But just realized the 4P production studio line is the only thing that hasn't been updated. That's a good point. Let's have a look at if they actually got rid of anything. No. So the 4K production studio series is still there. And the television studio 4K is still there. Okay. So they didn't stop selling these things. They just added on the new television studios there. Okay, interesting. Yeah, ISO, the cloud stuff, and 8 receivers, not bad for 1K. Was the cloud stuff only in the ISO model? It probably was, actually. Monitor out's great for troubleshooting. Yeah, I guess. But I'd also probably use it. Actually, yeah, it's a good point. Is with the monitor, would you be able to see meters on the USB or Ethernet control? Because that would be very handy to be able to see what your gains are and stuff. And is the preamp control on the USB MADI, the MADI converter, can you control the gain through MADI? Or, yeah, sorry. My train of thought here is that you've got the Atem converter there. Can you control the gain of the Atem converter? Sorry, the Atem microphone converter through either Ethernet or something like that? Because that'd be really cool if you can control it on the panel. Because obviously preamp gain is important, but having to do it on like computer or something would be annoying. So that's a good, interesting thing there. Monitor out on the converter is basically some software, cost about $0. Yeah, true, but it's got to cost something. It's got some processing in there. Like it, it's cool, but I would take off $50 if I could, because I'm just not going to use it realistically. Monitor out and various devices might be more useful if it was SDI instead of HDMI, for you can route it to when you want to see it. Yeah. Or both options, I guess. SDI or HDMI would be nice. The non-ISO also has cloud stuff in it. There we go. Being able to drop your program mix into the cloud. That is cool. So I'm just looking at the chat here. So we've got ISO recording, 8 streams, still good. Yeah, look. It's going to be interesting. Make BMD listen. I wish. That'd be nice. Although, speaking of NAB, I'm hoping to go. I'm just trying to tee up another job so we can kind of like do a whole round the world thing. Because it's a long way to go. And it's going to cost me like $3,500 just in flights just to get there. Because flights are stupid at the moment. But if you're at NAB, let me know. I'd love to catch up and meet some of you. I'll come from down under and, flip myself around and head up north. It's more realistic when they launch new products than releasing firm updates for... Yes, it is. Yeah, it is going to be more realistic for them to release more products because they can make more money. But they have been kind before and released firmware updates to existing products of features that they've found or done. Yeah, so it's not going to happen often, but it definitely has, and I won't be mad if it does again. Yeah, look, he did say that. So if you want rack mount, get the Constellation. If you want table mount, get the Television Studio. Yeah, the 4K line is still the standout. Like, it makes sense. There's no reason why they wouldn't be releasing a 4K lineup at NAB this year. If they don't, it's crazy. If they do, it'd be awesome. Cloud on both models. Check the manual, page 55. You can explain audio routing. I'm not able to properly have it around it. Let's have a look. Page 55. Oh. Okay. Have we just found... this? Okay. Have we just found something really cool? So map your program output audio channels via the audio menu. You can route the program out audio channels individually using the audio menu. Have we just found that there's potentially some new routing happening? Select a pair of program outputs on the menu from the right-hand side. Select the input you want. For example, to route channels 3 and 4 from SDI input 2. Oh, okay. First list. Sorry, I'm just reading this for the first time. It's like outputs 3 and 4, the first list, the menu is like, it's okay. Oh, okay. I think we're onto something. I think this could be... okay. So I was just complaining about audio routing and stuff. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm getting excited here. Now, something I'm really annoyed about is on the outputs from the Constellation for any of the Atems is you only get program 1, 2, then you get your comms on 13 to 16 or 12 to 16, whatever it is. And there's nothing else you can do. There's all these SDI channels which are not available. What I've been really wanting is, so for example, you're doing a record, you've got a MADI going into your Constellation and you've got all these audio channels you want to be able to route to it. Now, if we can route audio from MADI to program 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we can hopefully get ISO recording on each of these, what's it called? So say you're recording to a hyperdeck and you've got 16 channels of record, you can record your program plus individual channels coming in. I really wish that they showed the preview for the second one there. They could all be mapped separately. Okay. I think we're getting close to actually usable audio here. This is a bit exciting. Now, I really hope you can get it from the MADI too, because if you could route the MADI, so say you have an audio console, you can send ISO channels through the MADI and send it back. That'd be really, really cool. Good spot there, mate. That's really cool. Colin will be there from Melbourne. Great. Bill from the UK to NAB. It'll be awesome to meet you. A lot of older hardware can do a lot. This is a matter of software updates. Yeah, I mean, they got chips in there which can be adjustable. So basically you can do routing via SDI. You can do multi-track recording through video now. It looks like, so say if you had, say if you're mixing in the Atem itself, you had microphones going into each camera. So say you got 3 mics in 3 cameras and you're doing the mixing in the switcher. You can now, it looks like, at least record those channels on the SDI output. So that when you get into post, it's cool. One can discover new functionality like this during the live stream. Yeah, look, that was a really good find. I mean, this is the thing. Looking through the manual, you can always find little sneaky things that they've hidden in there that didn't make it into the announcement. And also vice versa, you can find things on the announcement that didn't make it into the manual. Mix minus, it's still useless to me, so I'm curious to see what they do there, but I just need more auxes. But it looks like they're finally listening and actually doing something with the audio, so I'm really excited about that. But just doing a quick scroll through to see if there's anything different. But that audio tab, if they release that to the other Atems, I will be a very, very happy man. Seeing if there's anything else standing out in the manual for anything fun. Here we go. So the MADI out 1. Cool. So they're sending out channels 1 and 2 of SDI inputs 1 to 8. So these channels are all stereo channels, just to get your head around that. They got media player audio, finally. Okay, so they got 2 media players. Now, please, if you're watching this, media player audio out of the Constellation 8K MADI. I need it. It doesn't exist, but I need it in HD 4K mode, please. External mics, program mix, mono mix, channels 3 and 4 of SDI inputs 1 to 8. Cool. Okay. So in one MADI out, you have all of the potential options of audio to go out of there into a console. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, cool. All right. Now, I think we're getting pretty close to everything we've covered in the... I'm just looking through my notes as I was writing the thing. Anyone got any other thoughts or final things before we wrap this thing up? But, you know, overall, I think this is actually a pretty decent... what do you call it? Overview. Wow, Eric. Eric with the super chat. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Yeah, look, it's been... I mean, that's the thing. As soon as I saw the announcement, I'm like, hey, we've got to do a live chat about this because let's be honest, we're all thinking this. We all look at the announcement and go, how can this work for us? How can this be exciting for us? But yeah, look, really appreciate the super chat and thank you all for joining as well. Good update. Still hoping for 4K options. Look, I feel like NAB is going to be the this year is going to be the year for 4K. Probably just 60 though, but I could be wrong. We'll see. I'll give you a little teaser of the things I'm looking for. So I've obviously got the Decklink Duo, down converter SDI to SDI. I want to see an 8K broadcast camera because they've got the 8K Okay, so let me get this right. I don't care about 8K. I don't want 8K, but it just seems weird that they've got an 8K switcher, but no 8K cameras. They've got 8K recorders, they've got 8K hyperdecks, they've got 8K deck links, but no cameras yet. They got a 12K camera, but it doesn't actually do CCU, so it's kind of useless. And it only outputs HD as well. So, sorry, only outputs 4K. Routers, video routers. We need new video routers. We need bigger video routers. So that's definitely something I'm looking for, but I might put together something and see what we come up with. The manual always has Easter eggs, and sometimes the manual has just no info for a feature. This is true. There are times I've been like, why is this not in here? Doesn't make any sense. Or even like the down converters in the SDI to HDMI. That's a big feature, but it's not written anywhere. Why? It was in the previous converters, but we'll have people ask what kind of setup they need live streaming, so this helps the process the info so I can give recommendations. Yeah, hopefully this is helpful. But yeah, ultimately there's going to be a lot. Yeah, I think they're really massaging their way through the different options in terms of what we can get from. Yeah, we've got our professional Constellation series, we've got our television studio series, Atem mini series as well. I think they're really nailing those different series at the different price points as well. Really interested to see what they do with web streaming. If they add SRT, I will be super, super happy, because RTP is just not reliable enough, let's just be honest. Even though I'm streaming RTP to YouTube right now, but I'm on a wide connection, so you would hope that it's decent. What else we got? Yeah, look, I'm pretty excited about this. I don't think I'll buy a 6K studio. So what was the pricing for that? That was 6K Pro is 2.5. So in Australian dollars, it's probably like $7,000. But I love having a Australian dollar, which is worth practically nothing. But yeah, look, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you all for joining. I hope this has been fun and helpful. But yeah, I'm really hoping I can make an NAB this year. I'm just got to try and save my pennies and book some flights. So I'd love to meet some of you in person. It's been a weird pandemic and weird ride getting this whole YouTube thing up and running. I apologize, I haven't been producing more videos. I've been trying to get this room set up just so I can drop in and record, because I keep taking this kit out on the field to try and to use it on streams or shoots and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to have something that I can just sit down and record content with. There's a lot of content I want to make. I mean, I've got a 5-month-old baby and working like an absolute dog lately, so that's been a little bit difficult, but I am trying. I'm really trying to get some more content out to you. So yeah, thank you all for watching. It's been a lot of fun. Thumbs up in the chat. Thank you, everyone, and I will hopefully see you very shortly. See you in the next one. Cheers.